Tonight, it's being touted as a financial game changer. We are digging in to explore what a new partnership with Quebec could mean for this province. That story and...
Look, it appears that there's a blatant conflict of interest here.
Come at me all you want. I'm fine with that. And, just be clear, I haven't lost a minute's sleep over any allegations.
A St. John's councillor in one corner, a former premier in the other, and an investigation into an alleged conflict of interest.
How can we depend on a corporation that is doing nothing but spreading mistruths throughout the media and getting the public against us?
After nearly 4 weeks, Canada Post workers could soon be ordered back to work.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Andrew Furey touched down in Happy Valley Goose Bay this morning before making his way to Churchill Falls. It's been a whirlwind 24 hours since the Premier quite literally ripped up a 65-year-old contract with Quebec. The CBC's Reagan Burden has the latest from Labrador.
Premier Andrew Furey is still riding high from yesterday's announcement. He says everything is about to change, with a drafted deal with Quebec and a plan to develop Gull Island. And it's all happening right here.
And today I'm proud to be here in Labrador, the home of the mighty Churchill River. It's important to be here in Labrador, as it is the heart, the soul of this deal, the heart and soul of the future of Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's an agreement that could pump billions of dollars into the province. But we've been burned before, so while some are welcoming the news, others are skeptical, worried there may be a catch.
The catch is the last 55 years. That's the catch. We already paid for the catch. Now it is ours, and now we will reap the benefits for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador.
And though power rates are expected to increase, along with the demand for what the province is calling clean energy, Furey says residential rates in Labrador for folks already accessing Churchill Falls power will not change.
We will introduce a rate mitigation scheme for the people of Labrador to ensure that as the rates increase from Churchill Falls, which we want them to do as a part of the provincial treasury, we will make sure that the rates stay the same here in Labrador.
The Premier says to expect tens of thousands of jobs for Labradorians, and that this newly generated power means new project developments and new possibility here in the Big Land. Reagan Burden, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Well, the Nunavut government says this new deal could bring badly needed revenue, but it's also concerned about the health consequences. In a statement tonight, President Johannes Lamp says Inuit living downstream need to be considered and protected. Flooding increases a river's methyl mercury level, which can be dangerous for those who eat fish and wild game. Major protests broke out in 2016 over similar concerns at Muskrat Falls. Nunavut also worries that these projects don't include more power for Inuit communities.
Is Newfoundland and Labrador facing a future where budget deficits are a thing of the past, where infrastructure can be built with cash instead of borrowing, with big money actually being invested so future generations can benefit?
It might be hard to believe, but those are real questions after this scene yesterday in St. John's. An MOU between Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador that looks to terminate the Churchill Falls contract. A lopsided deal that humiliated and angered generations of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and helped Quebec prosper as it benefited from practically free and very valuable electricity from the massive Churchill Falls generating station. Now there's a framework for a new deal. A historic deal, one that ends the imbalance with the promise of $200 billion in new revenue over the next 50 years, envisions more hydroelectric developments on the Churchill River with very little financial risk to the province, ensures economic reconciliation with Indigenous groups, and promises more development in Labrador.
With this agreement in place, we will have a generational impact on the growth and the prosperity of Newfoundland and Labrador.
After decades of resentment and mistrust towards Quebec, some are saying it's almost too good to be true.
This is amazing. This is transformative. This is incredible.
But this veteran economist likes what he sees so far. Doug May believes this is a, pardon the word, watershed event, up there with Confederation, development of the province's oil industry.
Quite often we get caught up in the moment and we don't think of how transformative things are. But this is one of those moments.
Before Thursday, Doug May was convinced that the province's fiscal situation was unsustainable. A per capita net debt of nearly $18 billion, the highest in Canada.
The province is using credit to make ends meet, borrowing nearly $3 billion this year on a $10.4 billion budget, is projecting a budget deficit of over $200 million. The oil industry, which has helped sustain the economy, has an uncertain future. But now Doug May's thinking has changed.
It's a bright day out there.
A new deal will see Quebec pay an average of $1 billion annually for Churchill Falls power, with payments escalating after 2041. Under the old deal, the province receives just $20 million.
Premier Legault did show us the money.
The economists I spoke with all agree the money is substantial and could dramatically reshape this province's fiscal fortunes. But they also caution against wild, politically motivated spending, especially with an election coming up next year.
The Premier promises a balance, pay down the debt, invest in people and infrastructure, and tuck some money away.
Economists like to be skeptics. We like to be a little bit negative. But it's hard to be critical under these circumstances.
For now, all sides are energized, confident of a prosperous and united path forward. Now all these smiles and handshakes will face the test of time and the mighty Churchill River. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Hydro-Quebec and NL Hydro will be more connected than ever with this proposed new contract. Here Now's Heather Gillis breaks down what our provinces and utilities have agreed to build.
The MOU is signed, and now the applause are all over. But what exactly did Newfoundland and Labrador agree to build with Quebec?
The provinces will work on 4 things: upgrades at Churchill Falls, an expansion of Churchill Falls, a new development at Gull Island, and then each on their own transmission line.
First could come upgrades at Churchill Falls. The project will upgrade all 11 turbines. Improvements will suck 550 more megawatts of power from the river, increasing the decades-old facility's top output to almost 6,000 megawatts. The first upgraded unit could be online as soon as 2028, the rest of them over the next 10 years. The price tag, $1.9 billion, including financing. Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro is responsible for the construction. The cost overruns, responsibility of the Churchill Falls Labrador Corporation. NL Hydro owns about 2/3. Hydro-Quebec owns the rest. Then there's the Churchill Falls expansion project. That's a new underground powerhouse, about 250 meters west of the current one, with 2 new turbines. Together, they'll pump out 1,100 megawatts of electricity. The expected cost, $4.6 billion. Hydro-Quebec is going to build the expansion and take on the cost overruns. Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro will operate it. Officials hope it'll be built and ready over the next 10 years, but this project needs new environmental approvals first. Unlike the 1969 contract, this time the price for power will go up over time based on market value. There won't be an automatic renewal in 50 years. Next, the big one, a new development at Gull Island, about 100 kilometers away from Happy Valley Goose Bay, one of the best undeveloped hydro assets in North America. It's proposed to have 2,250 megawatts of power, owned 60-40 between NL Hydro and Hydro-Quebec. This one just shy of $25 billion, with first power targeted for 2035. Hydro-Quebec will build it, take on the risk of cost overruns. For this project, environmental assessments and benefits agreements with the Innu are already ironed out, which could speed some things up. Then there's new transmission lines. Each province will build their own, about 170 kilometers each. Newfoundland's alone, $3.6 billion to be built by NL Hydro. All this is enough to generate 3,900 megawatts of new power. prices for the new power based on how much construction costs and then escalate over time, estimated to cost about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. The province has been burned twice before by hydro projects on the Churchill River. The original Churchill Falls contract was notoriously unfair to this province, while Muskrat Falls was billions over budget and years behind schedule. The risk. If this province drags its feet on Gull Island or Churchill Falls expansion, some of the power we get could be capped or reduced. And the province has promised to exclusively talk to Quebec about building Gull Island for the next 15 years. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, in other news, an external investigation has been launched against St. John City Councillor and Realtor Ron Ellsworth. The complaint comes from former Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Danny Williams after learning the city paid more than $500,000 for a property bought by one of Ellsworth's clients. Here now's Mark Quinn has that story.
Look, it appears that there's a blatant conflict of interest here.
Danny Williams says that when the city of St. John's purchased this land for $640,000 in June, it was a clear conflict of interest for Ron Ellsworth. Ellsworth is a councillor and the city's finance lead. He was also the realtor of record for the land bought here.
You cannot basically benefit from your position as a member of the St. John's City Council and be privy to an allocation of money whereby you're going to pick up a commission at the other end of it. That to me is clearly wrong.
Ellsworth says he did receive a commission, but he's adamant that he's done nothing wrong.
By our rules and regulations, no. I was not involved in decision-making of the conflict, the decision-making of the process. So if I'm not involved in decision-making, then I didn't direct the benefit to myself.
The city wants this land off Goldstone Street to add a sidewalk and a traffic lane to make the area safer. Ellsworth says when he became aware that St. John's was looking to purchase land in this area, he stepped away.
At that point in time, I declared a conflict of interest and was no longer involved in any discussions on Goldstone Street. At that point in time, shortly after that, the city legal department initiated a dialogue with the vendor's lawyer. I was not involved in any conversations or discussions with the city on the sale of that property.
But Williams isn't satisfied with that response. He can't accept that Ellsworth had no role in the decision.
So he abstained. But the point is he was part of all the deliberations, all the setting up of this amount in the account, and therefore, had full knowledge as to the benefit from it.
Ellsworth says he asked for an external investigation. He welcomes it, sees it as an opportunity to prove he did nothing wrong.
This is not the first allegation we've had from Danny Williams. We're going back here to 07, 08 when I refused to support travel money for his hockey team, or when I refused to support buying 10 acres of land in Galway that we didn't need, or in this time at the roundabout, I refused to support taxpayers' money going into infrastructure for the developer. This has been an ongoing piece, Mark. This 20-odd years of Danny being Danny, and, it is what it is.
Williams says he's looking out for the city's taxpayers.
I'm not about looking for retribution here. I just basically stumbled on a set of facts and found that, a councillor's sign was on a piece of property that was subsequently sold to the city. So, what the ultimate outcome or what the penalty is, I just think it's very, very important, though, that people, the general public, be aware that this is taxpayers' money and it can't be misused or abused.
Lawyer Donna Ballard is leading the external investigation. Ellsworth expects her report will be completed by the end of January. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, this temperature map looks a little different than it did yesterday, except in the east where temperatures, the highs were somewhere between 10 to 14 degrees, but that was overnight. Temperatures have been dropping through most of the day today. If we take a look at the temperature change, quite dramatic. Yesterday we were talking about 10 to 15 degrees warmer. Today we're talking about 10 to 15 degrees colder, even up across Labrador as well. This colder air is going to bring the potential for some snow squalls for parts of the west coast. That will be for tonight and into at least the first part of tomorrow. Then the rest of the island actually looks pretty lovely up across Labrador as well. Maybe a few flurries in the mix, but overall quiet weather expected. However, we are going to see the windy conditions for Labrador continue. I'll get into all the details a little later.
Well, Ottawa is intervening in the Canada Post strike. Labour Minister Steve McKinnon is sending the dispute to the Canada Industrial Relations Board.
Not only have the parties been able to show any progress towards an agreement, the federal mediator has now informed me that the negotiations between both parties are now, in fact, going in the wrong direction.
Well, if the board determines negotiations are at an impasse, it's directed to issue a back-to-work order. At the same time, an inquiry will examine why talks have failed. Protesting workers in St. John's today say they didn't see this coming.
History repeats itself. 2018, the government of the day legislated us back to work. 2011, the government of the day legislated us back to work. So why would Canada Post legislate in good faith?
And will you guys go back to work?
Right now, the information is just so new. We haven't had an opportunity to talk to our leadership. We did not anticipate this today. What we did anticipate was another offer back from the corporation and see if we can strike a deal. But why would they when they got the government in their arse pocket?
Well, it's all made for a hectic holiday season for stores, shoppers, and charity groups. CBC's Julia Israel has more on what a delayed mail service has meant for donations.
It's the season of giving, but for all those good intentions, some acts of kindness are not being received.
We rely on mail service year-round to receive donations from our donors. And during the holiday season, we do a direct mail campaign. And this year, of course, we are receiving less donations. We're hearing from our donors that they have sent the donation. It could be in the mail. We don't know when we're going to receive it or if we're going to receive it. So it's been really challenging.
Many charities like the Kids Eat Smart Foundation accept donations in many forms, online, over the phone, and in person. But mailed checks are still a main source of income.
During this holiday campaign, we are down about 50% in donations year over year from last year. And we do know that the direct mail is probably 50% response by mail. So that's huge. And we do know as well, a lot of our donors and individuals who are not comfortable with technology are not donating online.
At the gathering place, they are also feeling the drop.
We're around 1/3 of our revenue that comes in is being impacted. And the reason that is that a lot of our donors are older individuals who like to donate to us. Some don't use online, some are not comfortable putting their information online, and they're far enough away that it's just not easy for them to physically come to the gathering place. So it's certainly had that impact through mail delivery, which is a prime source of our revenue.
There's a reason the mail is big for charities. StatsCan reports that people 65 and older are the most charitable demographic in Canada. Of all charitable donors in 2022, 34.2% were 65 and older, compared with 3.2% who are under 24. At the same time, nearly $10 million was lost in online and phone scams targeting seniors in Canada in 2022. With donations down, what now? Davis says cuts to the gathering place daily services are a last resort.
One of our biggest costs is our grocery bill. You know, we have multiple operational costs here and staffing and so on. We rely heavily on volunteers to support our staff as well. But you know, if we had to start limiting the number of meals that we are able to serve at any given time, that would be disastrous. We don't turn anybody away during meal hour.
Charities urge donors to get help from friends and family to make safe online donations.
We support and understand the collective bargaining rights, but what I will share with you is that it's having a critical negative support on the revenue that we're going to generate during this holiday season. So we're just hoping that our donors understand that if they can find a way, trust the technology, contact us, come into the office if they're able, find a way to give so that we can continue to do the important work we do.
The news out of Ottawa today means that postal workers may be forced back to work by the end of the year. But for the charities who rely on holiday season donations, whatever happens will be too late. Julia Israel, CBC News, St. John's.
We'd be more than happy to be able to get the letters to Santa. And I spoke with Santa and he was all happy to receive letters because he wasn't getting as many as he normally does.
And so the North Pole Postal Express was born, accepting kids' letters for Santa when the Canada Post strike meant that mail couldn't get to them otherwise. Well, after 2 years, there's now a new way to access St. John's subdivision Galway. Work on the Trans-Canada Highway interchange project was officially completed today. Traffic can now enter and exit Galway via the westbound lanes of the TCH. Work included the construction of an underpass below the highway, as well as ramps and a roundabout that will connect to Danny Drive. A contract of over $10 million was awarded to Farrell's Excavating in December 2022. Ashley's here with a look at the weather, and there was at one point tonight when we all were kind of looking out of the window of CBC at the sunset. It was so beautiful.
Everybody was making a comment, and then the pictures started flooding in of the beautiful sunset. A lot of places saw a beautiful sunset this evening. Let's take a look at this photo. So this one was in Port Rexton. Evelyn shared this photo with us. So yeah, it was a joy after a very cloudy day for most of us in the east. We've been seeing a cold front sweep through and some showers as well. Those really ended earlier today. They're well offshore now, but in behind this cold front, we certainly have much colder air, and those temperatures, as I showed you a little earlier, have been dropping for most of the day as well. In behind that front, definitely seeing that colder air up across Labrador starting to move in for the southern or for the western portion of the Avalon rather, and those temperatures are going to continue to drop as we head through tonight pretty much across the board. Down to -3 in Corner Brook right now, still topping off somewhere between 2 to 4 degrees in the east. But like I said, those temperatures will continue to drop tonight. Coldest in Lab West at the moment, sitting at -11 in Lab City. But that colder air and onshore winds leading to a perfect recipe for some snow squalls. So snow squall watch has been issued now for all of the west coast. And this will generally continue as we head through the night tonight and into the first part of tomorrow. So just a reminder, with these snow squalls, they often come on very quickly and could lead to some whiteout conditions and some road conditions that will be rapidly deteriorating if you're driving in and out of these squalls, especially tomorrow. We're really close to Christmas. People will be out Christmas shopping, so just keep an eye on the roads for tomorrow. So here's a look at the future tracker for tonight and into tomorrow with those squalls likely developing. We're seeing some flurries now, but they'll likely develop into some squalls as we head through tonight. Along the south coast, you may see some of these squalls as well. And then by the time we get into tomorrow morning, there's a good chance Burin Peninsula could be seeing some of the squalls as well. Up across Labrador, generally a quiet night. However, still looking at the potential for a few flurries. It's also going to be quite windy for you. Westerlies or southwesterlies will be gusting anywhere from about 60 to as much as 80 kilometers per hour. Across the island, those winds will be gusting somewhere between 40 to 50 kilometers per hour, but there's that drop in temperatures I was talking about. So down to about -5 in Corner Brook, and then same thing through Gander and east. Your temperatures will be hovering around -2 overnight. And then up across Labrador, your temperatures are actually going to warm up a little bit by the time we get into tomorrow morning. As we head through the day tomorrow, expect that snow squall activity to continue on the west coast. Again, likely or potentially reaching the Burin Peninsula and maybe even the Avalon again. What does fall will not be significant, though, for the Burin Peninsula as well as the Avalon, but certainly still there. Other than those snow squalls, it's going to be a beautiful day for most of the Avalon. So some sunshine certainly in the mix. The central areas of the island all along the northeast coast, it looks beautiful. And then Labrador, basically you're looking at a mix of sun and cloud or cloudy periods with the chance of a few flurries in the mix there for you as well through the day. And as we get into the overnight, the skies may actually clear out until we see some more flurries move in for Sunday morning. So as far as snowfall amounts go, again, the most for the west coast. This takes us through to tomorrow morning. We could be talking about 5 to 10 centimeters in some of those persistent squalls. And then tomorrow, we could see an addition to that. Certainly in the long-range mountains, the model's definitely picking up on that. 15 to 25 centimeters, not out of the question. And then there for the Burin Peninsula, southern Avalon, 2 to 5 centimeters, maybe a little bit more than that if you do see some persistent squalls. Temperatures tomorrow will sit near zero or a little bit below. Winds generally out of the southwest or west between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. For Labrador, minus single digits. Winds again still breezy. Northwesterlies will be gusting anywhere from 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, leading to a little bit of a wind chill through the day. I'll get into the long-range forecast coming up a little later.
Well, this month is all about making the season kind here at CBC. We're sharing stories of kindness and generosity as part of our ongoing campaign in support of the Community Food Sharing Association. Now, this next story is about a family on Bell Island that's making sure children get their letters to the North Pole during the Canada Post strike. Lisa Gear says her husband's family has a special connection with Santa.
So our special connection actually comes from a long line of Santa's helpers. My husband's grandfather was one of Santa's special helpers who participated in many parades and visited children. And a little while ago, my husband and I were on the ferry heading to St. John's. And I was scrolling through Facebook and I spotted a post by a mom who said, "My little girl Ruby is so disappointed because of the postal strike. There is no way to send a letter to Santa." And she didn't know what to do. And I thought, oh, isn't that horrible? How sad. You know, everybody wants to have Santa hear their message. So after I saw little Ruby, I looked at my husband. I said, isn't that devastating? And then I flicked to the next post, and there was a post from McNiven's. And they were doing a drop off. And I said, we can do that. Why can't we? You know, I can just talk to Santa, and, you know, with our connection, we'd be more than happy to be able to get the letters to Santa. And I spoke with Santa, and he was all happy to receive letters because he wasn't getting as many as he normally does.
That is wonderful. So you have a little setup, a little mailbox in front of your house. So tell us how it works.
So at the North Pole Postal Express, from now until the 22nd of December, children can drop off a letter in our little mailbox. There's also a non-perishable food bin item as well to help the less fortunate. But they can drop off their letters, and Santa will get their letters. All of our volunteers make sure that the letters go to Santa. Santa has come and done a pickup himself. Mm-hmm. And we have some special Christmas magic to help us get our letters to the North Pole. Santa writes back and brings the letters back to me. And myself and a group of volunteers here on Bell Island are happy delivering letters. We delivered the first batch last night. So there were a lot of happy children to get their letters back.
So I guess it's pretty important that the children put their return address on there, their mailing address, so the letter can get back to them from Santa.
Not their mailing address, their street address, because we're serviced by post office boxes. And that's actually one of the things that we've found, is that we're so prone to writing your actual P.O. box that we've had to reach out to a few parents. So we've asked for your physical address as well as your phone number, and if there's any issues with delivery, because also here on Bell Island, we just got street addresses a few years ago. So even finding people can be a little bit of a challenge.
How many letters have you received so far?
78.
Wow. Are you surprised by that number?
Very surprised, very surprised. We did get a little batch from the school, about 20 letters from St. Augustine's Elementary. We've reached out to the high school as well and told if any of the classes want to drop off letters to Santa. I mean, high school students can have Christmas wishes as well, so they can drop them off to Santa and put them in our mailbox, and we'll make sure that they get them. And I haven't checked the mailbox last night. I haven't checked it again today, so I'm not sure what's sitting there. But I did find over the weekend, when families are available, there's a lot more letters have arrived.
How does it make you feel to be able to help like this, and even to head out and knock on people's doors and return the letter from Santa? How does all of that make you feel?
It is Christmas joy, Christmas spirit. it kind of brings you back to your childhood. As a little girl, I remember writing a letter to Santa, and I never got one back. And on Christmas morning, Santa had left the letter in our tree. I guess he didn't get it in time, and he left it in our tree. And that's one of my most treasured Christmas items that I keep. So it kind of brings me back to my own childhood. And any of our volunteers are more than ecstatic to be able to reach out and, share that little bit of Christmas magic.
Well, Lisa Gear, it's a wonderful thing, and I bet that you won't be getting a lump of coal in your stocking this year doing this good deed for the young ones on Bell Island. Thank you so much for telling us about it.
Thank you, Carla. It's my pleasure.
I know our phone has certainly been bringing in the emails since, I guess, the last 2 days.
Well, the new Churchill Falls deal has created quite the buzz in the trades sector. We'll hear about the opportunities workers hope it will create when we return.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped?
Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Innu First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Well, now back to our top story. Jobs are a major part of the proposed Churchill Falls deal. Thousands will be needed to upgrade and build everything in the new contract. Now, government says at peak it will mean 5,000 direct jobs. Corey Parsons of Trades NL joins me now from Grand Falls, Windsor. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Carolyn. Pleased to be here.
Now, you train people to do the kind of work needed for these mega projects. Can you tell me what you're thinking and feeling following yesterday's announcement?
Thank you, Carolyn. Well, first of all, the last 24 hours certainly been an exciting time for people of the province. I certainly tell in conversations last night and today, people seem to have a little more pep to their step today, and I guess the future looks a lot brighter for a lot of people, in particular in our industry, in the construction industry, and those that work in the skilled trades.
Mm-hmm. Now, the province says it'll need, workers like line workers, crane operators, electricians, carpenters, equipment operators. Do you think that Newfoundland and Labrador has the workforce to fill that need?
We're very confident that we have the supply of labor required for these projects in Labrador. It's a lot of work coming there. We heard yesterday in total $35 billion over the next 10 years. I was thinking driving out today, that's for those of us into the industry and could recall the Hebron project, that's 5 or 6 Hebrons, but we're confident that we do have the labor supply here in the province. We just came through 2 relatively busy years in the construction industry. A lot of projects are slowing down, so this is very timely as a lot of our members are cluing up jobs here in the province and wondering where they were going to go work to next. So we're confident that we got the labor supply. We recognize that labor supply is aging, so there's work to do within the industry to attract new people in for sure.
Yeah, and of course, this isn't a done deal yet. It's just a memorandum of understanding. But for someone who may be contemplating entering the trades, what advice would you give?
But there's lots of opportunities. The first advice I would say, you could visit our webpage, tradesnl.com, and right there we have a virtual college of skilled trades that shares all kinds of information. People could do an aptitude test. There's trade cards there that shares information, the types of trades, the types of activities you would be involved into, the employment opportunities, the types of salaries or wages that you will make.
What do you think this means for the trade industry as a whole in this province?
It's going to be exciting times. As I mentioned a moment ago, is that we just came through 2 relatively busy years of work, and as you could think about yourself, is that the Voisey's Bay underground operations was very busy the last couple of years. West White Rose, you had mining activity in Central. So a lot of those projects are either completed or coming to completion soon. So a lot of the current workforce are wondering where their next job is. I know in our membership, 14,000 plus, we have a lot. We have over half our membership that are transient workers traveling across the country to secure a job on a rotational basis and coming home to their families in between. So they're looking at this year as new opportunities to get closer to home. I know our phone has certainly been bringing in the emails since, I guess, the last 2 days, once the announcement was imminent, that there's a lot of excitement in our industry. People are looking forward to the opportunities. And the hiring provision that the Premier and the announcement had there yesterday gives us a great reason to be optimistic. It's a similar protocol that we had on the Lower Churchill project, where Innu would have first rights to employment if they're skilled there, and then second would be Labradorians, Islanders are third, and Canadians are fourth. So it's great opportunities in the skilled trades, and I've already had conversations with the Innu leaders in Labrador And we're looking forward to working with them so that not only provide job opportunities for them, we're looking forward to advancing their careers so that they become industry leaders before this project is over.
All right. Well, Corey Parsons, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Carolyn. Have a good evening.
Well, under the proposed New Deal, Quebec would pay almost 30 times more for power. So what's in it for them? Well, according to the head of Hydro-Quebec, they'll get clean, affordable, and reliable power, and lots of it.
For us to have access to power at such a powerfully attractive price over 50 years and that quantity of power, that helps us secure Quebec's energy future. It helps us decarbonize the Quebec economy. And very importantly, it gives us the megawatts that over time we can use to continue to enhance the collective richesse, the well-being of Quebecers.
Well, the much publicized tax holiday takes effect tomorrow. It will apply to things like children's clothes, some alcohol, or Christmas trees, and be in effect until February 15th. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has promoted it as a festive season gift to Canadians, but not everyone is thrilled about it, and that includes businesses and consumers. Anis Haderi has more.
This retailer has a lot to do to prepare for a temporary tax cut.
We're trying hard. We're not throwing our hands up in the air. We're going to make a valiant attempt, but there's going to be some errors.
Hundreds, if not thousands of items have to be checked. Only some will be tax-free for 2 months, but it's not always clear what counts and what doesn't.
I mean, a child could use it or an adult could use it. So who is this primarily for? And I honestly cannot tell you. Like, we sell it to everyone. Some new games, and we're trying to figure out.
It will be hours of work to adjust to the GST. That time will cost many businesses money.
There are huge compliance costs that are being pushed down to businesses. Reprogramming that has to happen basically at night on Friday, December the 13th. It's a giant mess.
All this may not boost holiday sales.
It's just not going to affect my shopping habit, really.
If I pick something and it happens to be included, that's going to be great. It'll be a nice surprise, but I'm not going to necessarily let that be sort of a driving criteria for what I'm shopping for.
I wish I knew about it earlier before I did all my shopping.
And dropping tax on a select list of items, like Christmas trees, has been criticized.
The types of goods that we're trying to subsidize aren't really the most important types of goods. So yeah, I truly believe that this is probably the worst designed tax policy or tax initiative we've seen in a decade.
Over in Calgary, Jennifer LeBlond would love a GST break, just not in mid-December.
It's a busy time of year. It's the wrong time of year for us to be doing it. I super appreciate, in some ways, the gesture, but it's causing a lot of work for us at this time of year.
A proverbial lump of coal in the stocking, but maybe 5% cheaper. Anis Haderi, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Alexander and Eunice Cull are celebrating their 64th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Happy 60th anniversary to Harmon and Daphne Fillier of Clark's Beach. Congratulations to Eric and Hazel Kinden from Stag Harbor on your 67th anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary to Bernice and Winston from Musgrave Harbor. Wishing Barbara and Calvin Tilley of St. John's a happy 64th anniversary. Kathy and Dave Sharp of Grand Falls, Windsor are celebrating 50 years of marriage today. Congratulations. Marion and Aubrey Pickett of Wareham are marking 65 years of marriage tomorrow. Best wishes to Joy and Ray Parsons on their 51st wedding anniversary. Congratulations to Ken and Alice Dumaresque from Lanceclair, who are celebrating 50 years together. Happy 66th anniversary to Jim and Reno Driscoll of Carbonear. It's a 59th anniversary for Bernard and Marilyn Park of Cox's Cove. Happy anniversary to Ed and Jean Noseworthy of Shoal Harbor. They're marking 58 years of marriage. Happy 65th anniversary to Eric and Marion Humphreys of Northern Arm. Wishing Winfield and Iris Saunders of Point Leamington a happy 62nd anniversary tomorrow. Happy 61st anniversary to Harvey and Mary Pike of Gander, now living in Carbonear. Now to some birthdays, starting with a big one. Happy 104th birthday to Joe Struck of St. John's, now living in Cambridge. Happy 93rd birthday to Catherine Pendergast of St. John's. Happy birthday to Ruth Halliday, who's turning 95. Birthday wishes going out to Ethel Fenley of Mount Pearl, who turns 90 today. Hayden Petton just celebrated his 90th birthday. Best wishes from family and friends in CBS and Garnish. Happy 94th birthday to Violet Newhook of Fogo, now living in New Harbor. Wishing Frank Pinsent of Grand Falls, Windsor a happy 95th birthday. 90th birthday greetings going out to Louise Saunders of Point Leamington, now living in Botwood. Happy birthday to Phyllis Morgan. She turns 92 today. Happy 95th birthday to Lila Grandy of Baillargent, now living in St. John's. Happy birthday to Bertha Payne, who just turned 96 in Cowhead. Wishing Teresa Drake of Lourdes a happy 92nd birthday today, and happy 94th birthday to Sheila Porter from Porterville, now living in Lewisport. Congratulations once again to everyone. Another fine crowd of people celebrating. Okay, so we're going to look ahead to the weekend and in particular Sunday. And I remember last night it was looking like it was going to be a real nice stretch of weather next week.
It does. Yeah, so Sunday actually will be kind of the start of it. Really Saturday, we will see some sunshine. Other areas like the West Coast will see some snow squalls, but those should end as we get into Sunday morning. Let's take a look at what's going on out there through the evening hours on Saturday. So the risk of snow squalls for the West Coast should certainly end. The first part of the day looks lovely across the island. We should see some sunshine and even better as we head towards the end of the day. But overall, decent. Up across Labrador, quiet as well. Maybe a few flurries in the mix. Temperatures are going to stay a little cool. They'll be sitting in the minus single digits, but overall, the temperatures will be sitting somewhere between 0 and about -3 across the island. Now, the Northern Peninsula will tap into some of the mid-minus single digits and the potential for a few flurries there in the mix as well. Again, the West Coast flurries to start the day, but the weather should improve through the afternoon. As we head into Monday, again, another beautiful start. A big ridge of high pressure is going to start to dominate the weather picture, and that is going to keep the weather quiet through most of the day on Monday with some sunshine, a good chunk of the island seeing some sunshine. And up across Labrador, generally, your temperatures will be sitting in the minus single digits. So you're not really going to see a whole lot of movement in those daytime highs by the time we get into Monday. And temperatures for the Northern Peninsula will sit in the minus single digits, but the rest of the island sitting near or a couple of degrees above 0 through the day. So yeah, a really nice start to the week. That should continue into Tuesday, where we'll see some sunshine and a temperature around 3 degrees. Then midweek, another warm up on the way with temperatures around 9 degrees, and then some more rain will be in the forecast as well for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. For Central, nice stretch of weather for you as well. Look at that. Sunshine Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, temperatures warming up. By Wednesday, you should be sitting around the 7-degree mark with some showers in the mix there as well. And for Western Newfoundland, you may see some showers a little earlier for Tuesday, and then Wednesday, either showers or flurries, because your temperatures will drop in the evening and down to around the 0-degree mark. So it should change back over to some snow potentially for Western Newfoundland. Up across Labrador, you're looking at a warm up as well for the eastern portion of the Big Land. Rain changing over to snow, and then either showers or flurries for your Wednesday. This should stay as snow for Western Labrador. Some periods of snow will develop for you on Tuesday. Our weather photo of the day from Carboneer. Had to share this nice, lovely sunset. There's another one from today.
Oh, wow.
I can't get enough of sunset photos. I don't know if you know that or not, but thank you for that photo. If you have another one or any other photos, you can send them to nlphotos at cbc.ca.
Yeah, it was a beautiful sunset this evening. Was that taken tonight?
Yeah, it's just funny how everybody in the newsroom, like,
yeah, we were all over at the window looking out.
At it. We clearly don't see them very often.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.